I-37F, never thought I'd be writing one of these posts, but I really need outside perspective because I feel like I'm losing my mind. Sorry in advance for the length, but I need to include all details for this to make sense. My husband Jake, 39M, and I have been married for 6 years, together for 9. We have 2 young kids, Amy, 3F, and Ben, 5 months M. I was a high school English teacher but currently on maternity leave. Jake works in medical device sales, selling surgical equipment to hospitals. When we first met, Jake was actually quite shy and insecure about his looks. He'd gone through a rough divorce where his ex cheated on him, and it took me almost a year to convince him I genuinely wanted to be with him. He was sweet, attentive, and always put our relationship first. Things started changing about 8 months ago. Jake's company has this thing where medical supply vendors host dinners to showcase their products. It's pretty common in their industry, and Jake would attend maybe 1 or 2 a month. But suddenly he started going multiple times every week. At first I didn't mind, these dinners could lead to good connections and better commission rates. Plus Jake had been passed over for promotion twice, so I understood him wanting to network more. But it quickly got excessive. In the past 6 months, he's been to about 45 to 50 of these dinners. Meanwhile, I'm stuck at home with a colicky baby who refuses to sleep more than 2 hours at a time and a toddler going through a major tantrum phase. I've had exactly 2 nights out with friends since Ben was born. Jake hasn't done a single night feeding or diaper change, saying he needs to be well rested for work. When I try talking about how overwhelmed I am, he gets defensive and accuses me of trying to sabotage his career. Last Monday everything came to a head. Jake told me he had dinner with Sarah, 35F, a new sales rep who just transferred to our area. He forwarded me their text chain where she asked to meet one-on-one to discuss some partnership opportunity. I looked her up. Yes, I know how that sounds, and she's this gorgeous fitness model type who posts lots of professional headshots and gym selfies. I felt uneasy but told myself I was being insecure. The dinner was scheduled for 6:30 at Morton's Steakhouse downtown. Jake left at 6, saying he'd be back by 9 since Sarah had an early flight next morning. At 9:30 he still wasn't home. Ben was screaming nonstop. He has colic, and had woken up Amy, who was overtired and crying too. I was running on maybe 3 hours of broken sleep and desperately needed help. I texted Jake asking when he'd be back, keeping it casual like, hey, no rush, but any idea when you'll be home? Kids are having a rough night. No response. Called him at 9:45, straight to voicemail. Tried again at 10, same thing. Now I was worried something had happened. Called Morton's and the hostess said they hadn't had anyone matching Jake's description all evening. Their reservation system showed no booking under either Jake or Sarah's name. I started calling hospitals thinking there might have been an accident. At 10:15 I get a text from an unknown number saying Jake will be home by 11. I tried calling that number but it was disconnected. Called his parents but they hadn't heard from him. His mom suggested he might have gotten caught up in work talk and lost track of time. By 11:30 I was frantic and about to call the police. Jake finally shows up close to midnight, clearly tipsy. When I asked why he wasn't at Morton's, he got angry and said they went somewhere else because Morton's was too crowded. But he couldn't tell me which restaurant. When I mentioned calling him, he claimed his phone was on silent in his jacket. I pointed out his calls went straight to voicemail, which means he actively declined them. He then changed his story saying his battery died. We got into a huge fight. He accused me of tracking him and being controlling. Said I was probably suffering from postpartum depression and seeing things that weren't there. When I brought up how inappropriate it was to be unreachable for 6 hours while I was home with 2 crying kids, he said I was being manipulative and using the children to control him. The next morning I checked our phone records. We share a family plan. Jake and Sarah had been texting multiple times every day for the past few weeks, often late at night or early morning. When I confronted him, he finally admitted they'd been meeting for lunches too, but swears it's all work-related. Said I was being toxic and insecure, and his career needs to come first right now while I'm not contributing financially. It gets worse. His mother called saying I need to stop being so jealous or I'll push Jake away like his ex did. Apparently he told them I'm having mental health issues and imagining things. My own sister thinks I'm overreacting and should be more supportive of Jake's career. Even my best friend said work dinners are normal and I'm probably just sleep-deprived and emotional. I told Jake to stay with his parents until we figure this out. He packed a bag but kept saying I was making a huge mistake. Says I'm going to regret creating drama out of nothing and ruining our family over my insecurities. Part of me wonders if I am overreacting, maybe I am just tired and hormonal? But my gut says something isn't right here. I feel like I'm going crazy. Everyone seems to think I'm being unreasonable, but I can't shake the feeling that something is very wrong here. Am I overreacting? Should I just apologize and let him come home? Really need objective opinions here. Edit. Wow, this blew up. Thank you all for the support and advice. To those asking, yes, I've kept screenshots of everything including the phone records. And no, Jake has never been this secretive about work events before. Update 1 first, I want to thank everyone who commented on my original post. The support and advice really helped me stay strong these past 2 weeks. A lot has happened, and I need to get it all out. Jake is still at his parents' house and keeps telling everyone who'll listen that I kicked him out over paranoid delusions. He's painted this picture of me as an unstable, controlling wife who's jealous of his success. Meanwhile, I've discovered some interesting things that prove I wasn't imagining things at all. Last Tuesday, I ran into Jake's coworker Mike at Target. Mike has worked with Jake for 5 years and they used to be pretty close before Jake started getting distant a few months ago. Mike seemed genuinely confused when I mentioned all the work dinners. He told me their company actually stopped sponsoring vendor dinners 4 months ago due to budget cuts. The only exceptions were quarterly team meetings, which are always group events with a whole sales department. The real bomb dropped when I asked about Sarah. Mike had no idea who she was, which made no sense if she was supposedly this important sales rep working with their company. He went through their entire regional sales team roster, no Sarah. When I showed him her picture from social media, he recognized her immediately, not as a sales rep, but as a nurse from the orthopedic department where Jake makes his sales calls. I sat on this information for a few days, gathering more evidence. I reached out to a friend who works in hospital administration and she confirmed Sarah has been a surgical nurse there for 3 years. No connection to any medical device companies at all. When I finally confronted Jake with this information, he broke down and admitted the truth. Sarah isn't a sales rep. They met 6 months ago when he was doing a product demonstration in the OR. They started having lunch together in the hospital cafeteria, then it escalated to after-work drinks, and finally these fake work dinners as cover for their meetups. He swears nothing physical has happened between them, says they're just really close friends who connect on an intellectual level. According to him, Sarah understands the pressures of his job in a way I never could. He actually had the nerve to say their relationship is purely platonic even though they've been lying and sneaking around for months. His family's reaction has been infuriating. His parents are still defending him, saying emotional affairs aren't real cheating and overreacting. His mother actually called me yesterday to suggest I try dressing up more and losing the baby weight to keep Jake interested. She said it's natural for men to seek emotional connections outside marriage when their wives are too focused on children. The biggest shock came when Jake's sister Ashley reached out. She works at a different hospital in the city and apparently Sarah has quite a reputation. She's known for pursuing married doctors and sales reps, getting close to them through work, then slowly pushing boundaries. Ashley said 2 doctors have already gotten divorced after getting involved with Sarah. She waited until now to tell me because she didn't want to cause problems if nothing was going on. That's not even the worst part. I've discovered many of our mutual friends knew about Jake and Sarah but chose to stay quiet. Some of them were at restaurants and bars where Jake and Sarah were obviously more than just colleagues. Our neighbor even saw them having an intimate lunch in a cafe across town, holding hands across the table. No one thought to warn me. Jake still wants to come home but refuses to cut contact with Sarah since they work in the same building. He says I'm being unreasonable asking him to jeopardize his career over an innocent friendship. When I pointed out all the lying and sneaking around, he said he only lied because I'm too emotional and wouldn't understand their connection. His latest argument is that I drove him to seek emotional support elsewhere because I've been distant since Ben was born. Apparently me being exhausted from taking care of 2 children alone while he's out with his friend means I'm neglecting his emotional needs. He actually suggested I get my mom to watch the kids more so I can be more present in our marriage. I feel so betrayed, not just by Jake but by our entire social circle. People I considered close friends watched my husband pursue a relationship with another woman while I was home with a newborn, and no one said a word. Some are still telling me I'm overreacting and should work on my marriage instead of throwing it away over a friendship. Jake's mom is hosting a family dinner this Sunday and wants me to come so we can all talk things through. She promises to help me understand Jake's perspective and find a way forward that doesn't involve separation. I haven't responded but I'm leaning towards not going. I don't need to sit through another lecture about how I'm not meeting my husband's needs. I have an appointment with a divorce lawyer next week, though I haven't told Jake yet. I keep hoping he'll realize what he's doing to our family, but every conversation just confirms that he cares more about his relationship with Sarah than being honest with me. Edit. Several people ask why I haven't contacted Sarah directly. I tried. She blocked me on all social media the day Jake moved out. Real classy for someone who's just a friend. Edit 2. Jake just texted saying he's told Sarah to take it a step back until we sort things out, but still refuses to cut contact completely. Too little, too late. Update 2. I wasn't planning to update again so soon, but everything has exploded in the worst possible way. The truth finally came out, and it's even worse than I imagined. Last Thursday, I received an anonymous email with a bunch of attachments. There were photos of Jake and Sarah at the Marriott Hotel from back in April, while I was 8 months pregnant with Ben. Multiple days, always during his supposed work dinners. The photos showed them walking into the hotel together, having drinks at the bar, and looking very intimate. But that wasn't all. The email also included screenshots of their text conversations going back months. They weren't just talking about work, there were explicit messages, plans for their meetups, and discussions about their feelings for each other. The worst part was finding messages from the day Ben was born, where Jake was complaining to Sarah about having to be at the hospital with me instead of meeting her. When I confronted Jake with the evidence, he finally cracked. They'd been sleeping together for 4 months, starting right after Ben was born. According to Jake, he was feeling neglected because I was too focused on the baby. He said Sarah made him feel desired and appreciated when I was too tired for intimacy. The work dinners were their cover for hotel meetups 2 to 3 times a week. His explanation made me sick. He said he loves us both, me as the mother of his children and perfect wife, Sarah as his passionate lover who understands his needs. He actually suggested we try therapy so he can get help managing his feelings for both of us. When I asked if he was seriously suggesting I accept him having a girlfriend, he said I was being closed-minded and traditional. His family's reaction has been mind-boggling. They're now pushing me to forgive him since he finally told the truth. His mother called crying, begging me not to break up our family over just sex. She had the audacity to say it's partly my fault for not being more understanding of Jake's needs as a man, especially after childbirth when I wasn't able to be intimate. His sister Ashley, who previously warned me about Sarah, now says Jake seems happier than she's ever seen him and maybe this happened for a reason. She suggested I take this as a wake-up call to pay more attention to my marriage. Even my own mother thinks I should try counseling before considering divorce, saying all men stray sometimes. I met with a divorce lawyer yesterday. The photos and texts are apparently great evidence for the divorce, especially since some of his hotel meetups with Sarah were paid for with our joint credit card. When Jake found out I'd seen a lawyer, he completely changed tactics. Now he's threatening to fight for 50-50 custody of both kids, even though he's never spent more than a few hours alone with them. His argument is that I'm mentally unstable and paranoid, and he was forced to seek comfort elsewhere due to my controlling behavior. He's telling everyone I have severe postpartum depression and created false scenarios in my head. His family is backing up his claims, saying they've been worried about my mental state for months. The most absurd part? Jake's lawyer sent a letter suggesting I caused this situation by alienating him during his children's formative years and denying him his parental rights. Apparently me asking him to help with night feedings was alienation. Me wanting him home with his newborn instead of at hotels with Sarah was controlling. I've also discovered Sarah is married to, or was. Her husband found out about the affair last week. He was the one who sent me the email with the photos. She's now staying with her sister and planning to divorce him. Jake spent 3 hours on the phone with her last night helping her through this difficult time. Our friends have mostly taken Jake's side. According to them, I should have seen this coming and done more to prevent it. Sarah is apparently the life of every party, always fun and outgoing, while I've become boring since having kids. One friend actually said Sarah brings out the best in Jake, as if betraying his family is somehow positive character development. Right now I'm focusing on documenting everything and protecting my kids. Jake's already talking about introducing them to Sarah once things settle down. He seems to think we can have some kind of modern blended family where his mistress becomes their stepmom. Neither of them seems to understand or care about the damage they've caused. Edit, thanks for all the support. To answer common questions, yes, I'm keeping all evidence including the hotel receipts. No, Jake still doesn't think he did anything wrong because he tried to end things with Sarah but couldn't fight their connection. Edit 2, just found out Sarah's been to our house for dinner parties several times in the past months. Apparently our friends thought it was hilarious watching me serve dinner to my husband's mistress. Update 3 A lot has happened since my last update. The divorce is moving forward, though not as smoothly as I'd hoped. Jake moved in with Sarah last month after her divorce was finalized. They're apparently deeply in love and planning their future together. His family still thinks I'm being unreasonable for not attempting reconciliation. The custody battle has gotten incredibly ugly. Jake is pushing for 50-50 custody despite having zero experience caring for the kids. His lawyer is trying to use my initial suspicions about the work dinners as evidence of paranoid behavior. They've even submitted statements from his parents claiming I've shown erratic and unstable behavior since Ben's birth. The most frustrating part is how they're rewriting history. Jake now claims he was an involved father who I deliberately kept away from the children. He conveniently forgets refusing to do night feedings, missing doctor appointments, and choosing hotel meetups with Sarah over spending time with his newborn. His mother testified that she often witnessed him trying to care for the children while I interfered. I had to get a new phone number last week because Jake's family wouldn't stop calling to lecture me about forgiveness. His mother showed up at my house unannounced several times, once with Sarah, trying to help us build a peaceful co-parenting relationship. She actually suggested we all have Sunday dinners together so the kids can bond with their future stepmom. Most of our mutual friends sided with Jake and Sarah. Apparently I'm the villain for not being understanding enough of their unique love story. Sarah's been telling everyone she tried to resist their connection, but Jake was unhappy in our marriage long before they met. She's even suggested that my coldness during pregnancy pushed Jake away. The real kicker came when I discovered they're planning their wedding already, even though neither divorce is final. Sarah's already talking about having their own babies soon. Jake seems to have completely forgotten he has 2 young children who barely see him. When he does take the kids for his court-mandated visits, they usually end up with his parents while he and Sarah go out. My sister finally apologized for not believing me initially. She came over after seeing Jake and Sarah making out at a restaurant when he was supposed to be having daddy-daughter time with Amy. Seeing him prioritize his affair partner over his crying daughter finally opened her eyes. I started therapy to deal with the betrayal, not because I'm unstable like Jake claims, but because I needed help processing how my entire support system crumbled. My therapist helped me see that Jake's manipulation started long before Sarah. He was already using the kids in my postpartum period to gaslight me. The mediation sessions have been a joke. Jake spends the whole time talking about Sarah's positive influence on his life and how I need to accept the relationship for the kids' sake. His latest demand is that Sarah be allowed to attend all future parent-teacher conferences and doctor appointments as his life partner. I don't regret kicking him out that night. Everyone who said I was overreacting has either apologized or shown their true colors. I'm focused on my kids and rebuilding my life. Started back teaching part-time and found a wonderful mom group that's been incredibly supportive. To everyone who's been following this saga, trust your gut. If someone makes you feel crazy for questioning their obvious lies, they're probably gaslighting you. And to those saying I'm bitter or vengeful, no, I'm just done pretending this situation is okay for the sake of people who never respected me or my children. Edit, Jake just informed me they're expecting a baby. Guess this explains their rush to get married. Funny how he can't find time to watch his existing children but managed to get his affair partner pregnant within months of leaving.